Okay, kids, it's story time. And today's book is the new Dennis Gage Orphans and Oddballs coloring book. This thing is so cool, destined to be a bestseller. I did this project with an artist out in LA, Fireball Tim Lawrence. This guy's really pretty amazing. He's done all sorts of cool coloring books with people like legendary customizer Gene Winfield and Sid Mead, this guy that did these futuristic, crazy renderings, movie cars like in Blade Runner and stuff like that. So Tim called me up and said, hey, let's do a book. And I said, cool. I wonder what the theme is. Well, I've been doing this show for like 25 years. And anymore, I'm looking for kind of the car you don't just see every day, kind of in fact, the orphans and the oddballs. And so that turned out to be the theme. And we put one together. It's really cool. You can find this thing on Amazon. Just put in Fireball Publishing or Dennis Gage Orphans and Oddballs. I believe there is a bootleg out there. Don't get that one. It's the Fireball Tim Lawrence one. Very, very cool. Tim is a great artist. I like it because his renderings are really, pretty accurate. But then he puts these automotive accurate renderings in these fantasy environments. What a combo. I love it. So let's see what we've got here. These are all cars that I've done over the years, again, spanning about 25 years. And so starting off, we've got the 1909 Baker Electric. This is one of Jay Leno's cars. This thing's really cool. Jay's got all cool stuff. He loves alternate forms of propulsion, steam, electricity, turbines, pretty much everything. The 1909, they had these things, believe it or not, all over New York, thousands of them back in the early 1900s. Charging stations all over New York. It looks like a phone booth on wheels. Doesn't really have a steering wheel. It's got a tiller. It does about 20 miles an hour, which is plenty fast for this. I'm not sure it has brakes, but a really cool car. And it's the first one in the book. Check it out. So let's see what's next. Ooh, this is neat. This is a 58 Zundap Janus. And this is owned by Jeff Lane, Lane Motor Museum, down in Nashville, Tennessee. Here's a plug for the Lane Motor Museum. It's just amazing. Jeff's got all sorts of automotive oddities. He specializes in microcars. I've actually seen this car 3 times, and I shot it the first time about 15 years ago down in Florida at a microcar event. And then we went to the Lane Motor Museum and did a piece there, again, just really cool. And then I shot it again a couple of years ago down at the Ace Cafe in Orlando at another microcar show. If you're familiar with an Isetta where the whole front end opens up to get in, imagine 2 Isettas that backed into each other and got fused. So really this thing looks the same front and back. Both ends open up. You can get in either way. You only drive from one end. The engine's actually in the middle. You can fold down the seats and sleep in there over the engine. And if you have it running, it'll keep you warm and then probably kill you from carbon monoxide. 78 Zundap Janus. Oh, hey, another Lane Motor Museum. The 1928 Martin Aerodynamic. Now, Jeff's got so many cars in there, but this one really stood out because it didn't look like anything I'd ever seen. It's a really strange shape, pretty square. The guy that designed this, and this was after one of the wars, apparently World War I. And there were a lot of people with aircraft manufacturing skills scattered around the U.S. And his thought was, I tell you what, we'll make these in kits and we'll send them around these different airports. We'll assemble them and it'll be a beautiful thing. Didn't really take off. One door, you get in pretty much like you'd get in the cockpit of a small airplane. Just, again, really, really amazing car. Totally odd. Oh, hey, and here's me. You can even color me. You got the show logo, my caricature, what's not to love. This would be followed by, let's see what's next. Ooh, man, this is like a Lane Motor Museum palooza here. This is a 1932 French Helicron. This was a car that was actually, they actually made this, I think they only made one. Imagine taxiing everywhere in a plane without wings. That's kind of what this is. It steers from the rear. It has a big propeller in front that pulls it along. And if you see that big circle there in front, it's a guard around the propeller. that Jeff actually put on that thing. It didn't originally come with it, so you can see some of the design flaws. I drove this thing. Whew, what an experience. So now, oh yeah, this is cool. This is the 36 Chevy Foreman Coupe. Now, I shot this particular car, out in Walla Walla, Washington. And the rendering almost lowballs it a little bit, because if you look right here, that's actually a truck bed. This thing was, it might have been the original El Camino, or, you know, as the Aussies call them, a ute. But it was a coupe that had a truck bed from the factory, so that you could kind of have this, you could have it all. You were the foreman. Very cool car. I've only seen one of them. They didn't make many. And here we go. And this, this is the, you know, can you find what's wrong with this picture? This is a 60 Valiant. This is one of the weirder cars ever made in production. You either loved it or hated it, design-wise, and back then most people hated it. Now it's so funky, it actually is pretty cool. But what's wrong with this picture is that it is not, in fact, a Plymouth. In 1960, Valiant was actually its own division for 1 year only, and they were going to, you know, get into the compact car market, and there was actually Valiant dealers and everything. That didn't work out, and they decided that in 1 year. So in 1961, it became a Plymouth Valiant. But actually, what's wrong with this picture? It ain't a Plymouth. Very cool car. I like these things. Oh, this is great. A 60 Renault Jolly. I've seen a few of these. We shot one out at a show in L.A., in Burbank, I think, that was put on by the owner of Jay Leno's favorite automotive bookstore there on Wilshire Boulevard. Wicker seats. I mean, the thing, it's appropriately named because it's very jolly. Oh, this is crazy. This is the 55 Cadillac Valkyrie concept car. Joe Bortz, north of Chicago, is kind of the guy that collects all the early concept cars. And this is one that I had never really heard of before. It's really strange. It has a little bit of a Brooks Stevens feel to me. But it's you know, thing it's hard to miss, sort of like an Edsel. It's this massive bumper grill thing. There's this huge V there. It's an extremely strange car. Again, this is, you know, look at the backgrounds. I mean, I love the settings Fireball puts these things in. This guy's good. Moving right along. Ooh, another one. Another crowd pleaser. The 54 Kaiser Darren. You know, there's an orphan for you. Kaiser, Nash, Hudson. They're all orphans anymore. But the Darren was a cool car. 1954 only. A fiberglass bodied car when everybody was kind of getting into that. And Kaiser was going to, which is sort of a stodgy make, but they were trying to kind of do a sports car. It was really just a Henry J with a trick body. Had the, you know, the Henry J flathead 6 in it. But the cool thing about this car is it had pocket doors. The doors didn't swing out. They disappeared into the rear quarter to get in. So that was sort of its claim to fame. It only came in 4 colors. It was like, there was a red, a white, yellow, and this killer mint green. I've shot a mint green one down Summer Nights Cruise, Somerset, Kentucky. Really beautiful car with a really interesting owner. Vernon Smith up in Newfoundland has a mint green one in his collection. And then we did a feature on one with Mike Stowe in Boyne City, Michigan. It was a yellow one, and we took that out for a drive to get the driving shots and stuff. And this was before the days of ubiquitous cell phones. And fuel pump broke, and we were stranded and ended up getting tow strapped back by somebody that happened by in a Jeep. So we were fortunate there. Kaiser Darren's a cool car. There aren't many of them around. Quite distinctive. You can't miss it. Oh, yes. The 58 Heinkel. This is one of the bubble cars, micro car. Shot this at the Ace Cafe a couple of years ago when we were down there for the micro car show. This is like an Isetta, kind of looks like an Isetta, although I actually think it's cooler. The front end opens up like an Isetta does, but the steering wheel doesn't come with it like an Isetta, come with the door, because that was a patented design, and Heinkel couldn't use it. So the steering wheel stays put. But what I think is cool about it is it's even bubblier. You know, all those Lexan windows all kind of puff out. It's like you blew on the tailpipe and just the thing just blew up like a balloon. They're really cute. There's actually one on eBay right now that I'm considering. Just be so weird to have. They're 3-wheel cars in Europe, 4-wheel cars in the U.S. because they had to be. But really, those 2 wheels in back might as well be one. It's really, for all intents and purposes, a 3-wheel car. Really a cute little car. Oh, now I'm a Studebaker guy. If you know the show, I like Studies. Love the 57 Studebaker Hawk. They made the Hawk from 56. And this body style actually up through 61. Then they went to the GT Hawk for 3 years, which I really love, and I had one of those. But the 57 Hawk, that body style just didn't look like anything else. And we did one down in Tubac, Arizona a few years ago. A guy that had a number of these cars and had just restored this thing to just a spectacular level. Another great example of Fireball's environment slope. Dig this. I mean, you got the Hawk. You got the Hawk script in the back. I mean, it's just, there's so much to color here. It's so cool. Man, I love that car. Love the environment too. Oh yeah, how about a 58 Facel Vega? These are, I shot this car actually at that same Frog and Pizza show 10 years ago or so. Facel Vega was their French car. And they're kind of like, they're sort of like dual gears. I mean, they're European cars, European design cars that are powered by Chrysler, 380s, 440s, 383, 440s. And they're really like grand touring sedans. They're pretty big. They're pretty square, rectangular. But man, these killer interiors, and I don't think any two are alike. And a lot of people, like I think Ringo Starr had one, and a lot of movie stars had these things. When you see one of these, you go, huh? It looks kind of familiar, but it's not. Really interesting car, the Facel Vega. Fun to color. Oh, another great car and great environment by Fireball. There's a 51 Hudson Hornet. Hudson, another one of those great orphan makes. This is actually one of Jay Leno's cars. Also, he has a couple of these. And I remember I went to see him one night at the Comedy Club in Hermosa Beach, California, and Jay pulls up in this 50 Hudson Hornet that had not been restored. Twin H power script written on the thing. It had been kind of raced. Looked like it had been painted with a paintbrush, but really cool. The next time I saw it, it had been completely restored. Spectacular. These things had this step down design. They really handled magnificently, had these incredible interiors and dashes. One, I think it was the 48 or 49, had this, what they called the Wurlitzer dash. I mean, really nice. And again, check out this environment. It is just too cool. Fireball, you demand. And then this is a one-off. This is a 63 Fury bubble top gasser, or street freak, whatever you want to call it. This is a guy in Jersey, part of the Dead Man's Curve Car Club, that built this. And I actually met him at a Lead East show in Parsippany, New Jersey, 15 years ago plus. And he had a street freak wagon, like a 60 Pioneer or Phoenix, I can't remember which, but jacked up purple, just insane. I said, man, this thing's wild. He goes, oh, you need to meet all my friends in the Dead Man's Curve Car Club. And these guys are lunatics. I respect that. And he says, you got to see what I'm building. I'm building this bubble top street freak. I'll have that done soon. So yeah, man, I'm in. So we went to shoot both the wagon and this baby. He was rushing to finish it. He put the roll bar in at 2 a.m. the morning that we came to shoot. I think if you look at that car to this day, you'll see a checkered flag, actually a piece of tape, duct tape, that's covering up the hole where the radio was. I think we slapped it on there and he kind of liked it, so it's still there. This thing was crazy. There was no air circulation in it, so we were melting as we were driving around. It was sort of like you were rolling around in a giant hamster ball. But crazy, these guys are crazy. This is a really cool car if you ever have a chance to see it. Now, oh yeah, well, what can I say? 76 Pacer. What a weird car. And most people hated this when it came out. When this came out, I went, oh, that's kind of interesting. I kind of like that. I wonder if that'll catch on. I didn't call that one right. weird car, originally made to take the rotary engine, a Wankel engine, and if you and that didn't pan out. They couldn't get them, so it's got an AMC engine in it, set way back because it was just designed for a completely different shape engine. It's really like a terrarium, a lot of glass, they're very hot. But they came with incredibly funky interiors, and like this says, give me some mod 70s graphics on this one. It deserves it. 61 Amphicar. These things they weren't much of a car, they weren't much of a boat, but they would do both. They're German. They made them from like 61 to like 67 or 8, I think. It looks like a baby 57 Chevy convertible. I shot the Amphicar Nationals once in Salina, Ohio. Took my then about 13-year-old daughter, and she befriended a couple, and we had 38 of these things in the lake at once. And they turned it over to her. So, this 13-year-old's like piloting this thing around with all these crazy little cars swimming around in the water. The little props in the back, and when you go into the water, you engage those, and that's your propulsion. And then the steering wheel still steers the front wheels, and they are in fact the rudders, just the rudders in front. And it is such a weird experience to intentionally drive a car into a lake. We did a feature on these up in Michigan a long time ago, almost 20 years ago. And then I ran into a heavily modified one in a Spring Green, Wisconsin show. I don't know if I'd be modifying this. These things, the water comes up within a few inches of the top of the door, and apparently they sink like a stone when they do go down. So, be careful. Oh man, another one-off, man. This is the 1948 Norman Timms Special. This thing was unbelievable. Norman Timms was an aeronautic engineer or something like that, and just had this vision for this car, and he absolutely hand-built this thing. This thing has a mid-engine straight-eight Buick for power. Curves like, you won't see in anything. It was built by this guy in 48 and 49, and it was like on the cover of a Motor Trend or a Hot Rod or something, like one of the early issues of that magazine. And it was all the rage. And then kind of got lost, and the guy that owned it found it, at some side restaurant, side road restaurant, and it was out there, and kids were sliding down it and stuff, and was just beat to death. And he got it, and he restored it, and spent a fortune on it, and it was just immaculate. The original car was a metal flake paint job, gold metal flake with real gold. It was before metal flake was a thing. And so when this guy restored it, he actually used 3 ounces of gold, real gold, ground it up in the paint and shot it. And it was this kind of, metallic burgundy gold metal flake, and it was spectacular. Really, and I got to drive this thing really insane above Malibu up in the hills. But back in 2017, I think, the fires that raged through California took out this guy's entire collection and melted this thing to a puddle of metal. But I hear he's redoing it. And this, if anybody can do it, this guy can. The 48 Tim Special, like nothing I've ever seen. Ooh, again, look at that environment. Blast off. Yeah. Okay, so then the 74 Bricklin SV1. Remember these? They were made up in New Brunswick, Canada. Malcolm Bricklin was the guy that designed this. There's another car that only came in 4 colors, and it was like a lime green, orange, yellow, and I think white. Its whole theme was safety, hence the colors. It was a composite body, and they had gull-wing doors, and these bumpers that could, take quite a shock and all. And the gull-wing doors early on didn't have a provision to let you out if the battery went dead. So that was a problem they had to fix. You'll still see these around. They're interesting, but it didn't work out. And this was a project between the government and Bricklin, and it was a disaster. These things cost a fortune to build, and they sold for, I'm making this up, $9,000 or something like that. I don't know, but they cost many times that to build, and that's another reason it didn't really work out. And there can't be many more. In fact, there are no more. Oh my goodness. That's it. But this is the entire first edition, because who knows? There's plenty more oddballs out there. But the Orphans and Oddballs coloring book by Fireball Tim Lawrence. Again, this cat is amazing. This thing's a lot of fun. Get yourself a book, get yourself some colors, have a big time.